Hey everybody, Alex here for Nerdy Inc. coming at you with another episode of Our Favorite Frontier, the only Star Trek podcast on the internet that's hosted by me and Nick. Hey Nick.
Hey Alex, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing very, very well. How about you?
Feeling good. Feeling right.
That's good, because we just watched the episode, A Matter of Honor.
Captain's log, stardate 42506.5. We have departed from Starbase 179 and are headed for a rendezvous with the Klingon vessel Pag. I have informed the staff of Commander Riker's temporary assignment.
Nick, what did you think of A Matter of Honor?
From what we've seen before, I thought this was a very good episode.
This was a very good episode indeed. Not perfect, but I really, really liked it as well.
There are some things I feel like they could have just done in general, but it would be such nitpicking, I'm not even going to get into it.
Yes, because overall, this was a solid episode. Start us from the beginning. What happened this episode?
Enterprise is getting transfers from a different locale, and Riker kind of decides, hey, I kind of want to go do something. The Klingons have never been able to accept a Starfleet, study abroad student, I guess you'll say. And Riker wants to be the one to tackle it. So Riker goes over to the Enterprise while others... Not the Enterprise, he goes over to the Klingon ship while others come onto the Enterprise. At this point, we learn that Wesley is a racist and thinks all people from the same place look the same.
Yeah,
and he
racist.
confuses this one man as someone he went to the academy with for a brief moment of time. That's just all I need to explain for the little joke I made. He thinks they all look the same. But moving on, Riker kind of has to imbibe himself in the culture and of the Klingons, and then he goes over and he kind of wins them over by showing that he's not just some dumb human. He's someone who's willing to be, mess with. They can have a sense of humor with him. He's learning stuff about them as they're learning stuff about him, and he shows that he does have honor with the crew. While Riker's being transferred over, this exchange student realizes that there is some sort of growing specimen on the Klingon ship, and instead of saying anything because he feels like he's already being demasculated enough by kind of Worf, he doesn't really say anything about the fact that he sees something peculiar, and he later talks about it when it's discovered by the rest of the crew. The Klingons think that this enigma of sorts is that latched on from the Enterprise. So they believe the Enterprise is trying to destroy the ship, so they get extremely hostile about it. Riker tries to assure them that that's not the case. Regardless, they go ahead and try to attack the Enterprise. Meanwhile, the Enterprise is trying to get in contact, but to no avail. And they finally come face to face. Riker sees that the captain of the ship for the Klingons is not really holding it together, so he eliminates him by getting him transported with the help of Worf to the Enterprise and kind of takes over the ship and debunks the situation. There's a lot of other stuff in there, but in the general sense, that's what happened.
Yes. Overall, I think the Riker plot line was pretty damn near perfect. I don't have a whole lot of complaints.
I as well. I feel the same way.
I like that you brought up specifically the fact that people were laughing with Riker, because I think that was a really, really great scene. Not only for just in general, but for the audience too, because up to that point, we really have just seen Worf is very strict. I'm a man of honor, fight. And we've seen Klingons always been really honor-bound and really noble warriors, and so seeing them laugh was new to us as an audience as well, for the most part. And it just was really, really humanizing. I guess I shouldn't say humanizing. It was really, I guess humanizing is the right word. But it really showed that they do have a lot in common. They had all these preconceptions about humans. Humans had preconceptions about Klingons, and the humor was a good way to sort of bring down those walls between them. That was a really great scene. I liked that a lot. And I like the fact that Klingon women want to bone Riker, even though they think he's ugly.
He's a good-looking man.
Yeah.
And even if they don't find him attractive, he's attractive enough.
I want to see how he holds up.
Creepy, but accurate.
Yes.
That's how I felt. I want to see how Riker handles it.
So the other thing that was very, very good, besides everything, most things, that happened very early on was just the idea of who you are loyal to in an oath, because that was a sort of big driver of conflict for the episode, which is, can Riker be loyal to Starfleet while still being loyal to the Klingon captain that he just swore an oath to?
And I feel like he did a very good job at it.
Yes, he played by their rules. At the beginning of the episode, this episode was very good with setups, I thought. They did a very good job of setting everything up and paying it off. And so having at the beginning what seemed like sort of just an innocuous line of, oh, you kill the captain, you get rid of him, blah, 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 and that's when you assume command. You just think it's just sort of a way to illustrate, oh, well, Klingons are ruthless. And, you can always look behind, have eyes in the back of your head. You don't really think it's going to pay off until it does. And it's the fact that that Riker used the rule of, I'm going to take command by killing / neutralizing the current captain, shows that he followed their customs. And so it wasn't like he was imposing a Starfleet caliber rule onto the Klingons.
Yeah. No, I felt like he really did get into their lifestyle, and I feel like they really did respect him.
They did, and that's what makes the episode so great. So finally, the last element of not the last element, but one of the elements that I want to hit before we move on to the other half of the story is the one mild complaint that I have on, I guess this is both sides of the story, is we never really, unless I missed it, did we ever find out what that bacteria was?
It was just there.
It was just there, right? It was just, they had it on their ship there. And they didn't notice it, and then the Enterprise found it, and they're like, we got this bacteria. But there was no real explanation for that. Which
not at all.
I suppose is fine. Too much context could have bogged the episode down, but it was weird that it was just they could just fix it.
Yeah, they just fixed it, and that was it. Because that fish head motherfucker was just still doing his analysis. So.
Yeah, and that's not a big complaint, because the core of the episode was about this exchange program and learning other cultures. But that was just a mild complaint I had. Granted, I don't know if I could have done it any better, so I won't dwell on it anymore. Let's go to Fishhead motherfucker.
I would describe him as such.
Yes. Overall, I liked what happened with him, that he came in really cocky, and he's like, oh, you should do this, and he was offering up all these opinions and trying to be superior, and he gets swatted down, basically, and he then immediately goes hard to the other side of not saying anything, and he's like, I'm just going to be really quiet, and he got really, really sheepish, and I guess just because that illustrated that there's a gray area. It goes back to what we learned in Dare about aggressive, passive, and assertive. You need to learn the middle ground in between standing your ground and without coming across like a douchebag. So overall, I did like that. If I had one complaint about his story, it's that I don't remember this fucking guy's name, so we're just calling him Fishhead motherfucker. The only complaint I really have is that the humans didn't really learn anything from him. And so overall, humans ended up being just right the whole time, as opposed to them sort of learning, oh, here's something that insightful that he brought to the table. My phone is going off and Star Trek fans are hearing the buzz. The humans never really learned anything from him, and I thought that would have been nice as well, just to show that humans have a lot to offer, but we're not perfect either.
Yeah, another, that kind of goes away from the whole theme of the show of what is humanity doing to prove that they're not a bunch of assholes.
Yeah. So,
this just fell into the realm of they weren't being assholes, but
yeah,
you're right. No one learned anything, and that is the point of the show. Is that for them to learn and be able to be better beings within the universe and be able to converse with others. Yeah, it was kind of like we want to see resolution within the characters that we know, and we don't need to see resolution within characters we will never see again.
Yeah. So that's ultimately, if I could fix that story a little bit, I would say let's have him still be able to bring something to the table that we learned. Perhaps just in the sense of, oh, we need to modify, we need to eliminate some possibilities of what this thing is. And he goes, oh, well, on my planet we have this special analysis called the triple quadra Matthew algebra way of doing this, and they teach this, and that's how they discover what the bacteria is, and that's how they fix it. And they go, oh, you'll have to teach our scientists that. Something like that would have been nice.
Yeah, but it was just like, hey, just fucking speak up.
But overall, the episode was not broken without that element. It still worked, which was something that, this is just me just spitballing some mild improvements. Obviously, the show wasn't a fundamentally flawed piece of shit like we've seen prior to this on several occasions.
Yeah. The problem is, though, we had such a good episode, we have nothing to really talk about besides what we've already done.
That's true, but I have some smaller things that I would like to hit in a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is Klingon food.
Yes.
Am I weird that I kind of want to try some of it?
No.
I don't really care to try gok, especially live gok. But
I don't know why.
Because live worms might be where I draw the line. But some of those...
Do they season it?
I have no idea. I have no idea if it's seasoned or if it's stewed in some way. I'm not really sure. But there was that one bit of claw, and there were a couple things that actually looked really good. I kind of wish I could try.
I feel like I would try gok.
I would try gok after you. If you told me it tasted good, then I'd be like, all right, fine. I trust Nick.
Yeah, I just feel like, when you go somewhere, you should be an adventurous eater. And it's funny because I know you'll say all day, oh, when I was younger, I wasn't much of an adventurous eater. But nowadays, I feel like I am.
I don't have that complaint about you.
I thought you did. You always say that when we were younger, we always liked to eat at the same restaurant. Well, we also still like to eat at the same restaurant. We also
still do. It's just a way better restaurant. It's just a way better restaurant.
But we also get different stuff there. But I feel like, you go other places, you try the things there. So I feel like if I was among Klingons, if they haven't disgraced me and killed me by then, I would try what they had to offer.
I would too. It would take a living thing would just be really hard for me to wrap my head around. I would.
Well, I think about Fear Factor.
Yeah.
I feel like if I was on Fear Factor, I'd do pretty okay.
I believe you would.
Yeah. I feel like I would have no problem with that. I really want them to revive that show.
Yeah, they gotta get Joe Rogan to stop doing his podcast.
Why? His podcast is fantastic.
I don't know. I'm just trying
He could do both.
He could do both. Yeah, I don't know. But some of the stuff does look good. There was one thing that Riker ate that just looked like a giant chicken nugget in like a sauce. It crunched. That looked good.
Yeah, I'd fuck with that.
The one thing that I think that they say this in Voyager, but Klingon blood wine is around 3 times the potency of like whiskey. Obviously, obviously it's not. You can't make the comparison of what percent alcohol is that, because that would be like 800%, but not really 800%. It would be 200 something percent. But the obviously it's some other substance that's more potent than alcohol. But yeah, Klingons go fucking hard. And that's what I like about Klingons. And I think this is the first time we really get to see it, is that they remind me of like sailors, like Pirates of the Caribbean style pirates. Of like, we feast and we dine and those are the same thing. We drink and we we ride gloriously into battle. Like that's the fun part of Klingons, is that they're like drunken sailor pirates. And this is the first time we get to see that, because have we seen, I just refresh me, Have we seen TNG Klingons before this, besides Worf?
There's the episode with Worf, and he has the Klingons, and they come onto the Enterprise.
Oh, that's right.
Isn't it called A Matter of Honor, or was that this episode?
That was this episode. It was A Matter of Honor. Oh, that's called like Code of Honor.
Heart of Honor.
Something like Heart of Glory.
Some bullshit Klingon
Searching for
lingo.
a heart of gold. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, we've seen Klingons in TNG.
Okay, I couldn't remember because it's all
not as good as the Klingons from Search for Spock.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was reading on Wikipedia that the Captain Clag, whatever his name is.
I think that's Corporal Clegg from the Pink Floyd song.
Corporal Clegg. That's Corporal Clegg.
Oh, I apologize.
The Lieutenant Clag, they hired him because he had the same basically height and build and everything as Christopher Lloyd, so he could just wear the exact same costume.
Really?
Yeah.
They just gave him the costume.
Yeah, because they're just like, fuck it, we don't want to make a new Klingon head. You can just wear that one. And he's
I just feel... I'm sorry, Alex. I feel like this show is just lazy.
From a creative, like, props and costumes standpoint, at times it is incredibly, like, lazy. I wouldn't be surprised if they worked in that Wesley line, like the racist thing he said, because it was the exact same costume. I would not be surprised. And they had to be like, what if people recognize this character? And like, all right, just make Wesley a racist. And then Gene Roddenberry was like, no,
that's me. I'm not a racist. I'm inclusive to the whole entire universe.
Yeah, so that's it wouldn't surprise me if that was that same fucking costume too, but just there's no note about it in Wikipedia because no one cares about that dumbass species.
I feel like this show would have been better earlier on, or in general, if they just put some fucking effort into it. It's like, we want to make a show, we want to revive a series, but let's just have it all fall into our lap and not actually try.
Yeah, it's hard when you think about budget stuff, like how much budget and costume. I mean, they did have to spend a whole lot of money this episode building a Klingon bridge and a Klingon ship, so I'm not going to fault them for reusing a costume. But it is funny to think about how much of this, how much has been recycled. I think there was only, fun fact, if you go back and watch the original series, there's only like 2 hallway sets in the entire show.
Yeah, and Wesley's a racist, which makes me happy because I hate Wesley.
Yeah, and I have very good news for you, Nick.
Is he gonna die?
No.
Okay.
If you liked this week's episode, what if I told you next week's is even better?
I'd be excited.
Good. Next week's episode is even better.
A measure of a man. They say if he has big shoes.
Well, the episode is about Data, so perhaps his shoes are fully functional?
I'd probably concur.
Yeah. No, next week's is a very good episode. This was a good episode. We got 2 back-to-back good ones right now, and it's just like a nice change of pace because, God, everything prior to this was rough.
Yeah, and I'm excited.
Yeah. You're finally getting into the good stuff here.
Thank God.
Some good Riker, some good Data, some good Picard, some good space stuff. That was great.
I'm excited. I can't wait to talk about next week then.
Indeed. So we might as well polish off this episode here. And by polish it off, I mean not talk about it anymore. Join us next week when our episode will be Measure of a Man, as we discussed. And if you've enjoyed this episode, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff is much appreciated. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Our Favorite Frontier is hosted by Alex Russo and Nick Caladona, edited by Alex Russo, and produced by Nerdy Inc. Be sure to follow us on YouTube to catch all of our videos, as well as like us on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever other social media we have.